The year was 1835. Thomas Macaulay was delivering a speech as President of the Council of Education of India. He was going to argue that from then on, Indians be taught in English rather than Sanskrit or Arabic. This is what he said. All parties seem to be agreed on one point, that the dialects commonly spoken among the natives of this part of India are so poor and rude that until they are enriched from some other quarter, it will not be easy to translate any valuable work into them. We have to educate a people who cannot at present be educated by means of their mother tongue. We must teach them some foreign language. The question is, which language is the best worth knowing? Macaulay went on to say, I have never found one Orientalist who could deny that a single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. It is, I believe, no exaggeration to say that all the historical information which is collected from all the books written in the Sanskrit language is less valuable than what may be found in the most paltry abridgments used at preparatory schools in England. How then stands the case? It is said that Sanskrit and Arabic are the languages in which the sacred books of 100 million people are written, and that they are on that account entitled to peculiar encouragement. We are to teach false history, false astronomy, false medicine, because we find them in company with a false religion. This is what Macaulay said in conclusion. We must at present do our best to form a class who may be interpreters between us and the natives. A class of people Indian in blood and color, but English in tastes, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. In my history book, Macaulay is still referred to as a good educationist, a reformer. What he smashed to bits and reformed with every word was our framework for looking at the world and for looking at ourselves. From then on, Indians armed with the knowledge of a language that looked at them with incomprehension would perhaps only see what they look like to the outside world. Maybe that's when it began, this coding of images of India to serve the logic of a language that seems based on comparisons and oppositions. An essentially Indian way of life is backward and inferior. Images scrubbed free of that same way of life become modern and progressive, superior, and somehow development has come to be anything that transforms the first image to the second.
क्या आपके भीतर पैदा हो रहा है कोई कॉम्प्लेक्स या बचा रहे हैं अपने आप को कई मौकों पर सिर्फ इसलिए कि आप इंग्लिश समझ नहीं पाते और अगर समझ पाते हैं तो बोल नहीं पाते अगर हाँ तो अब जागने का वक्त आ गया है
क्या कभी इंग्लिश मेरे लिए उतनी आसान हो पाएगी जितनी कि मेरी अपनी मातृभाषा क्या कभी मॉडर्न तौर तरीके मेरी पर्सनालिटी का हिस्सा बन पाएंगे
इंग्लिश सिर्फ एक भाषा ही नहीं इट्स ए लाइफस्टाइल आपका उठना बैठना चलना फिरना यहाँ तक के कपड़े बदलना भी इसका एक भाग है अब सिर्फ अंग्रेजी बोलना ही नहीं इसको जीवन में उतारना होगा
Like most urban children in the 80s, whose parents worked hard to give them the best education they could, I was sent, to a convent. A big part of my development was the formation of the person I was in school. We could only speak in English, no vernacular usage, or the class monitor would quickly report us to Sister Superior. Soon things would forever be split into the public and the private. Yellow stains on white shirts, strange Indian food smells sticking under fingernails no matter how hard we scrubbed. These were private because they were, for some reason that we couldn't define, shameful.
Same thing. Nobody really knows what they are. I remember on my flight over to India, I've had this overwhelming feeling of being Indian, you know? The whole flight over, we arrived in Bombay, and I'm yelling at the flight attendant, I'm like, open the doors to this plane. Let me have my Indian people. I'm going to show those Indians what it's like to be Indian. They opened the doors to that plane. I turned Canadian so fast. I was like, let me at my... Did I step in crap somewhere on the way, please? If you arrive in a third world country, the first thing you get is an overwhelming smell of poo right up your nose the minute they open the doors of that plane. It's almost like they hire somebody to crap in front of every plane that lands. Quick, quick, here comes one. Crap, crap, and go. Crap and go! Go, go, go! See, racially, I look like an Indian man. I'm an Indian man racially, but culturally, I'm very North American, you know? There's certain things that happen culturally in India that I'm not ready for. I stayed in a hotel in India. It was 300 years old. The oldest hotel in India. It was incredible. You have to see it. It was like beautiful high ceilings, marble everywhere, pillars. It was just incredible. Anyway, after I check into the hotel, the bellman's walking me to my room, and he leans in and he goes, Mr. Peter. I'm like, yes. He goes, sir, I regret to inform you. Sir, but the hotel? The what? The hotel? You know there's only one O in hotel? Oh, okay. What about the hotel? Sir, the hotel is haunted. Like, what? Why would you wait for me to check in and then tell me the hotel's haunted? Sir, don't shoot the messenger. Just letting you know. So now I get to my room and I can't get to sleep because I'm scared, right? The guy just told me the hotel's haunted. The hotel's 300 years old. You know what that means? There's 300 years worth of ghosts in this hotel. So now I can't get to sleep. Eventually I fall asleep. In the middle of my sleep, I got waken up by a ghost, and I wasn't afraid anymore because the ghost had an Indian accent. See how hard it is to be afraid when you get waken up by boo? Thank you very much.
By the time I got to college in the 90s, India's economic liberalization had truly begun. The shapes of dreams were shifting and possibilities were in the air. And there it was, in the middle of all that knowledge and ambition, another defining Indian image. I had a friend who was referred to as Behenji behind her back. She was the only one in the whole batch who regularly wore suits, not just the occasional ill-fitting khadi ones, but actual tailored ones with dupattas. But my friend believed in the power of development. So right through that first year, she stalked the coolest group of students. She would constantly hang around them on the periphery. In their turn, they pretended not to notice her. They were mostly boys and girls of impeccable pedigree, and they were meant for big things. No civil services for them anymore. They were all going to crack GMAT or CAT for fancy MBA degrees and then sell the hell out of Coke or Pepsi.
Ooh.
And so it happened. It was early in the second year of college. My friend walked into the ladies' room and accidentally dropped a photograph at the feet of one of the girls in the group. The picture had a boy and a girl. The girl was my friend. The boy was Caucasian, and the backdrop was a beautiful house, certainly not in India. My friend explained that this was a photograph of her childhood friend Andrew. On her visit to London just this summer, Andrew had professed his love. Right then, my friend was invited to the cafe, and over a shared plate of minced cutlets, she disclosed the details of a heart-wrenching cross-racial love story. Andrew was beautiful, blue-eyed, and very white. He went to Cambridge and lived in a manor. From then on, we only saw my friend from a distance. She had dropped her trump card on that floor. Hundreds of years' worth of images were loaded in that little photograph. I used to dismiss that episode as a silly sideshow to the main events of those years. But maybe it was really a kind of key, something that makes sense of so many things even up till now.
On this part of my trip, I'll be looking at how India's ancient traditions and beliefs have survived in the 21st century.
You're dropped right in the middle of this chaos.
The ancient ascetic rituals of going about naked, wearing ashes.
But when we get there, on foot, in the dust, after a noisy, congested bus drive, they're often very disappointing. The smells, the mess, the beggars are, unless you're a real enthusiastic tourist, quite off-putting.
One of the things we saw from the auto rickshaw was cots on the side of the road or a sleeping bag mixed in with garbage, and this is where all the leftovers of India ended up, whether it be garbage or animals sifting through the garbage and people living right beside it.
How do you even get your head around it?
It seemed like the end of the road for everything. Why are there cows in the streets?
Look at the barber shop on the right.
As I pursued the study of media, basic film theory told me that the act of looking is empowering for the one who looks, because he then also acquires the power of defining his subject. For centuries, we've been framed as spectacle or as specimen, always the first world looking at the third world, seeing only bits of us, or breaking us into bits to study us. What made me wonder was why we were still looking at ourselves the same way, through a stranger's eyes, as if everything we saw were a spectacle, as if we were its breathless interpreters, translating for an unseen outsider. Why did we agree to being locked out of our own images? When had we become tourists in our own reality, unable to belong? While all this angst-ridden wondering was going on, a huge tectonic shift was transforming our universe of images forever. It was the mid-90s, and it had begun what we would call the invasion from the skies. Transnational corporations started beaming their channels into the promising new Indian market 24 hours a day. Urban TV viewing families were quickly hooked and utterly dazzled. There is this ad for an electronics firm from around that time, which sensed the mood of the public and cashed in on all those unsaid things Indians felt as they watched TV over dinner. It was first broadcast in 1996, and it had Amitabh Bachchan saying this: "I'd love to be an American and enjoy the power my country holds. I'd love to be an Englishman, watching my language spread through the world. I'd love to be proud of my country. I'd love to make people envious just by saying I'm Indian. I'd love to make you believe it's possible. I'd love to make you believe in yourself."
Believing in the Indians. I think the Indians have now started believing in themselves.
Right.
And said, hey, we can do it. And there's such a momentum that's picked up because of consumption, desire, because of media, because of exposure, because of what's happening in this market.
Story, we're tracking the auction of the Mahatma's possessions and all the drama surrounding it.
A last minute and a rather unlikely surprise. The liquor baron to the rescue of the Mahatma who supported prohibition. Vijay Mallya bid and won Mahatma Gandhi's memorabilia at a New York auction. He bought the entire collection for 9 crores.
It is 13 years since that Amitabh Bachchan ad, and apparently Indians have started believing in themselves. It's a brand new India, land of fantastical achievement, no fantasy unachievable. Collectively, we have reinvented Indianness as a brand. A new India has been cast in a body of images we are supposed to be comfortable with. Just like there's a bit of Indianness added for flavor. This renovated Indianness is now a cause for constant celebration, a sort of exhibition, but it seems safely contained by unthreatening designer images, made appealing in a generic, contextless henna and bindi sort of way.
अच्छे से मालिश करते हैं इस नई वाली क्रीम से। हाँ, अच्छी तरह से मलोगे तभी तो इसका असर होगा। टीवी से लाइफ साइंसेस के साइंटिस्ट की टीम ने कटिंग एज टेक्नोलॉजी से तैयार किया एक ऐसा इनोवेटिव फॉर्मूला जो स्किन के अंदर तक पेनिट्रेट करता है। अब दिखेंगे अपनी उम्र से 5 साल, 10 साल, 15 साल कब?
Very smart looking car. And this can be yours. लेकिन इसे अपना बनाने के लिए if you want this one तो मम्मा डैडी को जल्दी force करिए and keep doing a lot of shopping.
बिल्कुल.
In many ways, the economics of globalization is based on one simple formula. With some local tweaking, one product, one image fits all.
Luxury has taken on a completely different meaning and has gone to a completely new height in India. You've moved on from the bags and the watches and the cars to the yachts, and now furniture is now becoming a luxury lifestyle.
So in our Levi's jeans and our Fab India kurtas, we watch as our identities are constantly reconstructed, designer fresh. And maybe now the chance of having any ownership of our images has receded more than ever before.
Are you ready?
Please give a big round of applause to our very first contestant of the night, Jamal Malik from our very own Amchi, Mumbai!
Something uncomfortable happened though with a film that came out quietly but created a big noise. Slumdog Millionaire skimmed lustily across seas of excrement, blind beggars, brothels, and half-built high-rises. Every third-world stereotype of the Western view of India came alive, leaving us dismayed and shocked. Is this how they still saw us? In spite of these 15 years of sanitized images, in spite of our mall and our multiplex.
And the Oscar goes to Anthony Dodd Mantle for Slumdog.
A few Oscars, and the embarrassment was also gobbled up by the new Indian story. The fact that they gave it all those Oscars, it was actually their endorsement of our brand new story.
India has taken over. It's like, they've taken over.
इसमें मैं इस मोहल्ले में मौजूद हूँ। यहाँ के भी कई सारे बच्चे हैं जो इसमें कलाकार रह चुके हैं स्लमडॉग मिलियनेयर में ही। हम लोग भी बैग आ रहे थे, हम लोग लंबे पैर दौड़ा रहे थे, हमारे को टुंडा बनाए थे, हम भाग रहे थे। अच्छा बताओ, आप लोग भी जाना चाहते थे लॉस एंजल्स जैसे रुबीना और ये गए हैं? हम लोग भी जाना चाहते थे कि हम भी कोई काम जाए। अगर मैं कहूँ इस बस्ती की मैं कुछ देर पहले इनसे बात कर रही थी तो बहुत सारे ऐसे यहाँ पर बच्चे हैं जो आगे चलकर अब अभिनेता अभिनेत्री हीरो हीरोइन बनना चाहते हैं, बड़े बड़े स्टार्स बनना चाहते हैं। जिस तरह से रुबीना और अजहर यानी लतिका और सलीम देखने को मिले हैं, बिल्कुल सूट बूट में बाकायदा बहुत खूबसूरत दिखे हैं।
In our legends and epics, the thing of utmost beauty is sacrificed to the processes of the world because it is almost too perfect, too profound to exist in it. In order to create the epic new story of India, maybe we have sacrificed our thing of utmost beauty. I believe that we are haunted by the India that does not exist because of the one that we have constructed in bricks and images. Haunted by the memory of who we were before the fragments, of who we could have been if we chose to look past the contrasts and contradictions, if we denied nothing. That possibility must still exist. There must be an India that still waits, silently, just behind the image, for us to claim it and call it home.